All right, ladies and gentlemen, guys, we'd like to welcome you to the show. This is your host of the evening, DJ Just Jay with Just Dimes ENT. I'm here to bring you guys a story. As you guys know, we advocate for children first. We're going to do that with this story, and I'm going to tell you guys because I know sometimes people are scared to come by my channel and watch my videos because they're like, it's depressing, it's depressing. I get it, but I'm going to tell you guys, there's nothing more depressing than what these children go through as opposed to just hearing the story. I want you guys to think about that. It's not so bad for us to hear the story as opposed to what these children are actually going through. I hope you guys hear me from my heart on that, okay? I wanted to start that video off by saying this. Now, this is actually going to end on a very positive note. That person that you see on the screen, I looked up her ugly mug on Facebook and I was able to find her, and her name is Annette Bogany, A-N-N-E-T-T-E, Bogany, B-O-G-A-N-Y. She is 50 freaking 3 years old. All right. She's out of Houston, Texas. You guys know I live in the state of Houston, so I got to talk about this as much as I could talk about any other state. I can damn sure talk about my state, right? So here we go. She has been charged with multiple felonies after severely beating her two sons and starving them. That is according to court records. Not just some crap that I dug out of the toilet somewhere, okay? The Harris County District Attorney's Office says Annette Bogany, age 53, would beat her two sons, two boys, single mom, in the house, no daddy. Hashtag, where are the fathers? Am I married? That is the answer to your question. Am I married? To be honest with you, I am divorced, okay? I'm divorced. I was married in my mid-20s, but I am divorced. So there you go, right? Now, her sons were ages 10 and 14 years old. 4-year difference in them. They're kind of in their mid-age range. And I'm going to tell you guys, that's actually going to play a factor. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our pen, bookmark it in that part of the story, and we'll come back to it. These boys at age 10 and 14 were beat with belts and cords. How many of you guys can relate to being beat with some very odd things by your parents? I'm sure that's not a story that most people are foreign to in the black community, because you guys have heard of people getting beat with race car tracks, people been beat with shoes, people been beat with cooking utensils and anything that a parent could get their hands on. I've always been a person that is against spanking and hitting children, hands, feet, or any other objects, because I believe in order to be an effective parent, you have to mentally engage with the kid in a way that causes them to be productive. If you have to hit them in order for them to be productive, then I think that you're just a crappy parent. Shout out to my brother Relationship Rehab. You make sure and subscribe to his channel, as well as United Guns of America, my brother Tommy Sotomayor. Subscribe to his channels, as well as go to SotomayorENT.com and subscribe to the Voltron Network. Now, the oldest son was beaten so bad, the 14-year-old was beaten by Annette Bogany so bad that blood started dripping from his head onto the floor, court documents revealed. There were also times when the younger brother, age 10, was hit so hard that he actually urinated on himself. Against the tyranny of this woman. On my screen. While you guys are watching, please hit the thumbs up. It'll share our story and let other people know that we're live on this stream. If you guys would just visually look down for a moment and please press that thumbs up. If you would, please. Thank you to everybody that's already done that. Now, these boys were beaten with anything that she could get her hands on, but according to the record so far, they were beaten with belts and cords. Belts and cords. For eating too much food and grabbing snacks without permission. I want you guys to understand that this mother beat her boys because they ate too much, and this is coming from a woman that looks like she clearly eats too much. To be 53 years old and have tire marks around her neck and have shoulders that freaking look like bean bags and probably a stomach that you'd be embarrassed to show anybody. Is that gonna get me flagged? Probably, but I don't really care. I really don't, because I think that what this mother did was egregious, and I think that it is also very hypocritical, the fact that you have someone as rotund, look up the word, rotund as this woman who was supposed to be on the pedestal of our community, people with my skin hue, you know I'm the only person that says skin hue because I like it, our skin hue. Because we're supposed to revere these people. But as my brother Tommy Sotomayor has told you so many times, most kids survive their childhood. They don't thrive, they survive. This is going to be another clear example of the fact that this is true, because that's what we're going to do. We're not going to just tell you things and tell you how we feel. We're going to continue to give you examples. Wouldn't you guys prefer that? Now, the evidence shows that these boys were physically and mentally tortured by the person they have been able to trust the most. This is said by Harris County District Attorney Kim Ogg, which is spelled O-G-G. Now the boys, here's the story. The boys reportedly ran away from home last July to escape her abuse. They eventually got enough of the abuse. Keep in mind that they are ages 10 and 14 years old. They got enough of this that they ran away from this abuse. They just decided, we gone. We've had enough of this. And I want to give a big shout out to those boys. And if I have to, I'll make a trip down there to Houston. If anybody out there in the Houston area needs me or anything like that, or knows anything about this story, I'd be more than happy to use our platform or to use myself in any shape, form, or fashion that will help those boys. That I can promise you, okay? Now, documents stated that what these boys did was they boarded a Metro bus and made their way to the Texas Medical Center, where a Houston police officer found them bruised and even bloody, okay? Bruised and bloody. According to court documents, this is the worst part, guys, and I want you to brace yourselves, because it's going to be a little difficult to hear. So brace yourselves for this. According to court documents, the boys were thin from food deprivation. Remember when we talked about with the kids and they're showing skin and bones? With one of them almost weighing 50 pounds. I want you guys to remember that you're talking about a 5th grader being 50 pounds. A 5th grade boy, not a girl, a 5th grade boy. 10 years old and weighs 50 pounds. That's ridiculous. And having significant scars showing enough evidence of long-term abuse. Do you guys know how much 50 pounds is? Let's take a look at this. I'm going to see if I can find something real quick. I don't know if I could do this on the fly, but we'll see what I can come up with. Maybe I'll have to do this when I'm a little more prepared. Let me see. Let's see. Nah, we'll do it another time. I was trying to find some things that weigh about 50 pounds. Maybe you guys can play with this in the comment section after the video's over, okay? Kim Ogg said, "We must protect these children. The evidence shows that these boys were physically and mentally tortured by the person, her right there, that they should have been able to trust the most. As they bolted from the homes, authorities said that the boys took a few belongings with them and a pillowcase, including a computer cable that had been used on them." I'm going to read that part again. When they left, they took a few things with them, including a computer cable that their mom had used to beat them with. Do you guys understand the gravity of what they did? I want to see if anybody even catches what that even means. If these boys took the computer cable that their mom hit them with, then what do you think they were trying to do? Can anybody catch that? Oh, yeah, 50 pounds is literally nothing. So if anybody hadn't caught that yet, what they were trying to do is they were trying to show evidence. They were going to show the police the evidence. Isn't that crazy? And they're thinking this at age 10 and 14 years old. They're already thinking about court and being able to prove it in court. Evidence. Isn't that crazy? Emaciated. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you, Marisol. Appreciate that. The boys said that they didn't eat lunch the day before they ran away. They hadn't even had anything to eat the day before they ran away. And that morning, they were so hungry, they grabbed a honey bun in the kitchen, and this is according. Do you know how small a honey bun is? And it depends on which honey bun you're talking about. You guys know that they make a lot of different kinds of honey buns. They make like the cinnamon buns, like the little Texas buns, which are the big ones. Like, I don't know if you guys have had any of those honey buns. Like back in the day, like when I was growing up, when you bought honey buns, they were all roughly about like that size. They were a good size. When you buy them now, they're almost like half that size in the little package. I could be wrong. Maybe I was just buying the wrong ones. Maybe I just don't know what I'm talking about. But they grabbed a honey bun and they took that with them because they hadn't eaten the day before, so they took it out the kitchen. Now they say this: child abuse is a huge problem and we take it very seriously. And this is said by Assistant District Attorney Lacey Johnson, who's going to be the one prosecuting this case. We are following the evidence and will hold these abusers accountable. So it sounds like it's just this woman, Annette Bogany. 2 Houston police officers actually spotted the boys and asked them what was going on. And they lied to the police at first because they didn't want to be taken back to their mama. I want you guys to catch that again. When the police was talking to them, the boys originally told him a lie because they did not want to be taken back home to their mom. Because they felt like if it came between mama's word, the infallible person, the infallible woman, look up that word infallible. She's infallible. And they felt this way and they knew that that was going to be used against them, that they told him probably something worse just so they didn't go back home to them. To that. Okay? The boys were then taken to the hospital where officers found bruises and welts on their bodies. The officers also learned that the youngest brother only weighed about 50 pounds. I don't know how he didn't see that something was wrong with that. But according to court documents, one of the boys had been diagnosed with depression and PTSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome, due to physical and mental abuse by his mom. He is in therapy and taking medication. Now, Bogany has been charged with 2 third-degree felonies for injury to a child and 2 first-degree felonies for causing mental injury to a child. This face that you're looking at is the face of someone who actually gave PTSD to her own goddamn kid. Isn't that crazy? Police reviewed the records from Child Protective Services, who spoke with Bogany the day the kids ran away on July the 18th, and that's according to court affidavits. Bogany admitted to striking the boys with various objects when she was mad at them, the affidavit said. So she was allowed to keep these boys even though CPS came and interviewed her and she admitted to hitting them. That's why I don't believe in the CPS system. I think it's bad. I don't think that they do enough to protect these children. And the fact that This is why also, and I'll go more into this at the end. Maybe I'll wait on that part before I say that. But right now, she's being held on an $80,000 bond. If you guys would, hit that thumbs up for me. Share our stream and let other people know that we're live telling this story right now, okay? Let me go ahead and get this fair use popping, and we'll go ahead and start the story off. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107.
Because there's no justification for this kind of treatment.
Harris County First Assistant District Attorney Tom Berg says the details in this child abuse case has shaken up the DA's office. Bloody beatings and starving her 2 young boys. These are the accusations against Annette Bogany. Her sons, 10 and 14, scarred, according to prosecutors. It was last July when these young boys escaped from their home, hopping on a metro bus, according to court documents, and making their way to the medical center. That's where a Houston police officer found them bruised and even bloody.
To pack a pillowcase and put some evidence in it and leave and get on a bus, these are kids, and go to the medical center with it. That's extraordinary.
Prosecutors say
I 100% agree with him. Let's hear that again.
Bruised and even bloody.
To pack a pillowcase and put some evidence in it and leave and get on a bus, these are kids, and go to the medical center with it. That's extraordinary.
Prosecutors say the abuse went on for years. Bogany accused of using cords to whip her sons for reasons like eating without her permission.
They lived in fear, so they were not reporting what was happening to them for fear there'd be more punishment.
According to court documents, Bogany deprived her sons of food, one of them weighing in at just 50 pounds in 5th grade.
Clearly there's some serious nutrition problems going on, which are evidence of the trauma that's going on in the home.
Bogany facing several child abuse felony charges, including infliction of serious mental injury to a child. This charge not seen often. It's hard to prove.
You have to prove a pretty high level of trauma. It has to be present, in these kids it is.
Both boys diagnosed with PTSD and both receiving therapy. Meanwhile, their mother is being held on an $80,000 bond.
First and foremost, I think that $80,000 is too low, in my opinion. I don't know what you guys think about that. Do y'all think it's just right? I think it's too low. I think they should have gave $100,000, $50,000 per boy, because of the fact that you starving your kids for all this time, for God knows how long. In my opinion, that's attempted murder. Why else would you not feed your kid unless you're trying to kill him? Can somebody in the chat please explain that to me? Anybody? If you guys are listening to this stream right now, please type something in the chat and let me know if there is a legit reason to starve your kid outside of trying to murder them. Because in my head, I can't think of one. All right? That's the first point. The other point that I want to make here is something that me and my brother Relationship Rehab have talked about a few times. Parenting is not meant to be done alone. I'm going to tell Annette Bogany, hopefully her or her family, at some point hears my words. This is why you shouldn't have children unless you are married. And I'm not saying that marriage guarantees that man will stay in the house, but it at least gives you some type of a commitment, a legal commitment, that he is going to be there for those kids and for his family. Now, if he breaks that commitment, then you have recourse. But at least you force a person into a position where they mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and in front of an audience make a commitment to say, I'm going to be there. But that's not what's happening. In these situations where these fathers are not in these kids' lives, what's happening is these dudes are just screwing around. They in some quote unquote, they grown people. Grown people. This woman is 53 years old. So if her oldest boy is 14, we're not talking about her being no young girl. She was young and dumb. So for the 10-year-old, that means she was 43. For the 14-year-old, that means she was 39 years old. Everybody catch that? 43 and 39. Did everybody hear what I just said? This so-called woman, it ain't like she had these two boys at 14, 15, 16 years old and she didn't know any better. And I really don't understand why you would not be married and be having kids that late in life with no promise, not even a guarantee, but no promise of a father that's going to be in their life. Everybody catch that? Did everybody catch what I just said? Now, my other point that I wanted to make is the difference between how we treat men and women. I want to ask you guys a question. If that were me and I were the father of two girls, if I was starving my girls for years and years and years and CPS came out and I admitted to abusing my girls, and then eventually my girls run away and you find out that I've been starving and beating my girls while eating in front of their faces, what would I be charged with if I were a man? Anybody in the chat want to tell me what you think Houston police might have charged me with? Because I'm just curious. In my opinion, children cannot defend themselves against adults. They cannot speak for themselves against the tyranny of an adult. But guess what they had? Guess what they had? They had just a little bit of size and a little bit of wherewithal. That word, wherewithal. That the older brother took his little brother, even though they were both mentally anguished, and had enough sense to grab some evidence and get up out that house because they said, you know what? If we don't, we might not make it out of this alive. Somebody said willful neglect. Somebody said attempted murder, cruelty, neglect. I'd be under the jail. I 100% agree with DGEPB on that. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to use myself as an example, because you might look at me and say, well, you know, this guy over and lording over these girls is a horrible thing. But what's the difference when you have this big, huge, overweight woman lording over boys that she could probably physically overpower rather easily? Probably both of them together wouldn't stand a chance against her. What's the difference? In my opinion, when you're an adult and you're dealing with a child, there should not be any difference from the consequences that these so-called parents face. Does everybody catch what I'm saying? There shouldn't be this gray area between, well, it's a mother, well, it's a father. They should treat everybody the same. None of that should even matter. A bad decision is a bad decision. Bad parenting is bad parenting. Starving a kid is stupid. If you're starving a kid, you do not deserve to be a parent, period. I'm just wondering, what if somebody starved her? What if they put her in jail? And I'm just asking a question. What if they put her in jail and decided, you know what, ma'am? You're big enough. You're heavy enough. You got enough blubber around your midsection. We're just not going to feed you for a week or two and see how your body deals with that. Then if you complain about it, we're going to beat you up. What if they did that to her in jail? Would Black Lives Matter come around? You'd hear from Black Lives Matter? You know, all of a sudden it's a racist thing? As opposed to them giving her a taste of her own medicine, not literally. But they would be looked at as the worst thing in the world, but she's not looked at as the worst thing in the world because these boys depend on her for everything that they need. They're not, the 14-year-old's not even at working age yet. Like if he were able to be working and be 16 years old, he might actually have a way to financially be able to get himself out of that situation and get away from his mom. He's stuck, and I think that that's wrong. The fact that she took advantage and abused those kids like that. That's a horrible thing. But the reason why I say this is a good story, guys, is because of this. The boys lived. These boys lived. They had the wherewithal to get up out of her house. They're going to live. This is actually a very positive story. That's why I really wanted people to tune into this one and hear us out. Last but not least, when we talk about this imaginary idea of white supremacy and all of this stuff, it's an imaginary thing, right? You know, you have all these pro-blacks out here talking about it's the worst thing ever. You know, we have to face this and we have to face that as black people. I'm going to tell you guys something that I've been preaching. And as much as I got love for people that try to do the right thing for our community and teach us and lead us, I think that they're misleading us because of this. And this is what I want to end with. The reason why I think that they're doing us a huge injustice by continuing to talk about what the white man is doing to us that we can't see on a day-to-day basis, what we can see is people that share our skin hue, people that look just like us, doing all of the abusing and killing and murdering and starving and burning and shooting and stabbing and running over and kicking people in the head after you shot them 3 times. Uh-oh. Am I going to get flagged? Hashtag XXXTentacion. Hashtag Nipsey Hussle. Hashtag the 150 kid stories that I've done on this channel. They generally share our skin hue. But guess what? Nobody is speaking out against the black on black crime. These activists aren't actively out in the street protesting this. There isn't going to be a funeral. Excuse me. There's not going to be a march against this mother, against this tyranny. There isn't going to be a gathering. There isn't going to be a vigil. There isn't going to be, you know, any outrage. There isn't going to be, you know, any what do you call it? College funds created, right? There's going to be none of this. And this is the type of reality that most of our children in our community have to go through. It is a very common thing, and most people can share in these sentiments. They understand this story. They've seen this story. They lived through this story, and they're scared to speak on this story. But if you guys are familiar with this, the best thing that you can do is use the voice that you have. The voice that you have the liberty of speaking the truth and speaking out. If you see something, say something. I've always told you guys that I don't advocate for people stepping into a vigilante role and physically doing anything to these people. Let the police do that. That is their job. That is what they are paid to do. Maybe not trained well to do, but that's what they're paid to do. They have more legal protection than we do. If you see something, say something. Somebody knew that these kids were going through some bull crap and they had continued to just not say anything because of this infallible face that you see right there on my screen. But Annette Bogany, I want to see her in jail for a whole lot of years, at least until these boys are old enough to be able to provide for themselves. That's what I want to see. So I want to give a kudos to those boys. Prayer hands up for those boys. Anybody out there in Houston, if you know these boys or if you're familiar with the story or anything like that, if they need anything at all, please let us know. We as Soto Nation have the ability to reach out and help people. And by all means, if we can do a little bit of something, we absolutely will help those boys out. So that even goes to anybody that ends up getting custody of them, whether it be a foster family or somebody else in the family. We'd be more than happy to help these boys out. But God bless them, and I'm glad that they made it out alive and had the wherewithal to be able to get up out of there. Thank you guys so much for listening to the story. This is your boy DJ Just Jay. I'm signing out.